Hello and welcome to another Python Pro tutorial series. In this tutorial we're going to be working with JSON in Python. So what is JSON? JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, which is a lightweight data format. The cool part about it is we are able to read this data, like humans are able to read it. And unlike the previous tutorials where we were working with binary data that we could not read, with JSON we are able to read it. So it makes it a little bit easier for us to grab that information from like a JSON file, for example. So that's why I kind of like working with JSON over binary, but it's, whatever fits the task in hand is what you're probably going to go with. But JSON is pretty easy to work with. Now the other cool part about JSON is it basically looks like a Python dictionary. And well, let me explain it this way. There's an object in JSON, and an object looks like this. Whoops. Let's go into our interpreter here. So I'll just fire up the Python 3 interpreter. So an object looks like this in JSON. I know I'm writing this in the Python interpreter, but this is what it looks like in JSON. So we have like a name, all right, just like we have the key in Python, and then we have the value, just like we have in Python. So this is the object. Another type of data they have is something called an array, which looks like a list in Python. So we could say array, and it's equal to a list. So we'd say value 1. Oops, gotta close out that. Value 2. That works. It doesn't have to be in a string format. We get an error, but whatever. You get the idea. This is what an array looks like, and this is what an object looks like in JSON. So values can be a string, and strings in JSON are double quotes. So string like this, double quotes, doesn't accept single quotes like this, like in Python, but it does accept double quotes. It also could be a number, floating point number, or an integer. Object, like which we looked at up here, which is a dictionary basically in Python. An array, which is a list basically in Python. And true or false or null. So basically when we're working with JSON, we're basically working with Python. If you think about it, object is a Python dictionary, an array is a list, and then we have strings, we have numbers, we have true or false, and null we could basically use none probably, but we have all those values. So there's not much conversion. So working with JSON is really simple. So don't overthink this when we go into actually working with it. I know when I first started learning it, I was like, hey, this is way too simple, and that was confusing me because it was so simple. So just, be open to it. Alright, so let's take a look at how we work with JSON. So I'm going to clear my screen. First thing we need to do is import the JSON package, and that allows us to do some things with JSON. So it's just import JSON, just like that. Alright, so we import the JSON package. Now it lets us do some things with it. Let's convert a JSON object to a Python dictionary, right? This is pretty simple. So we'll do something like JSON data. And when we're working with JSON data, we got to put it in a string. So I usually use single quotes because JSON has a lot of double quotes in it, so I use single quotes. So we put it into a string. So, and then we create our dictionary or our object in JSON. So we'll do like first name, something like that, and then double quotes, and then our colon to separate it. And then, oops, I did not want to do that. Sorry about that. And then we'll do Tom. All right, and then a comma to separate. It looks just like a Python dictionary. And then we'll do last name. I have a really hard time typing today, fat fingers. And then like that, and then like this, and let's do one more. Let's do city. Tampa. That works. And then close out our curly braces, and then close out our string with a single quote. Hit return, and there we go. We basically have a object in JSON. All right, now we're going to work with it. We want to convert it to a Python dictionary, correct? So first thing we do is create a variable. So we'll use object. All right, is equal to JSON loads, and then we'll go and call our variable that's holding our JSON object. So JSON data like this, and hit return. And then I can do something like print object like this, and there you go. There's basically this is our Python dictionary now. We can check this by seeing what type it is. So we can do type object and class dictionary. So it's a dictionary. It's not a JSON object because we converted it with loads. All right, JSON loads converted it to a Python dictionary. If you wanted to get some values from this, we could do like print object, and then square brackets, and then what are we looking for? Do last name like that. Hit return. Got my last name Myers. Well, we can do another one. City object square brackets. Oops, that's square brackets, and then city square. Close out the string, square brackets, and then our parentheses, hit return, Tampa. So that's how we get that. How about we try converting, let's see here, let's convert a object that contains an array. So an object which looks like a dictionary, and then an array which looks like a list. So the object's going to contain a list in it. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's clear our screen, and just so you get in the practice of doing this, import JSON. There we go. And now let's go ahead and do JSON oops, god damn, data. And then we'll do a object. Let's do colors like that, and then in here we'll do our values which are in our array, and we'll do blue, and we'll do white. There we go. Close out our square brackets, close out, that looks right. Close out our curly brackets, and then close out our string. Hit return. There we go. So now we got an object which is called, and it has a name colors, which holds an array of 3 values which are actual colors. So what can we do with this? Well, we can do our object again is equal to JSON.loads, and we can get JSON data in here, and now we're going to convert it. Now let's go ahead and just print our object to see what we got. Alright, print object, and we got a object that contains colors like we said before. So let's just call a type on this, just see what this is. Oops. Right there, it's a dictionary because the outside is obviously a dictionary. Alright, and the inside is a list. So we could do something like this. We can do let's do object. No, let's do type object, and then colors like that, boom, list. All right, so there's our list. We could print all our colors, so we could do print object square bracket colors, square bracket parentheses. There we go. Print all our colors. Or we can put it in a for loop and print them all out separately. So we could do for color in object square bracket, create a string, colors, close our string, close the square brackets, colon, 2 spaces, and then we'll just do print color like that, hit return, and there we go. We got red, blue, and white printed out our colors. So that's how we can work with objects containing an array. Another thing I want to show you guys, let's look at this. Let's go ahead and import again, so we get in the habit of doing this. And let's do JSON underscore data is equal to, and we're going to create a object that contains a floating point number, and I'm going to show you we don't need to convert it. So we'll do a float, then our colon, and then, I don't know, some floating point number 2.35, and close out our curly braces, close out our JSON string, hit return, and then we just have to print object, we'll do float, close out square brackets, parentheses, and hit return. What did I screw up? We never converted it. That is why. So let's go ahead and do object is equal to JSON.loads JSON data. And now let's go ahead and print it. I'm going to just actually hit up twice and print object. There we go. 2.35. So we can check to see what that is, because this could be printing out and leaving out the string or whatever. So let's just make sure it's a floating point number. So we can do print type object square brackets string float square brackets, close out our parentheses, hit return, and it's a floating point number. Alright, that's cool. How about converting a Python object to a JSON object or something like that? Converting Python into JSON. Let's just say that. Import JSON again, and let's do py underscore dic for dictionary, and let's do Philadelphia, and we'll do the Flyers, since I'm watching a Flyers game as we speak, and let's do what the hell, Tampa Bay Lightning, just like that, and we'll close out our dictionary. There we go. We got a dictionary that contains the Philadelphia Flyers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Cool. We got a dictionary that contains NHL hockey teams. Alright, so how do we know loads converts JSON data to Python data. Now, on the other hand, there's something called dumps that converts Python data to JSON data. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So let's just do JSON data. All right, and we're gonna set it equal to JSON.dumps, and then in here we'll just throw our variable and hit return, and then we can do print JSON data like that, and we get a dictionary. And oh yeah, this is what I want to show you. It looks like a dictionary, but it's not really. That's what I was looking for. I can't remember what the heck I was doing. We'll do type, and then we'll do JSON underscore data, boom boom, and it's a string because JSON data is in a string format. That's where I was going with that. I was like, wait, it looks like a dictionary. But I remember what I was trying to do there. All right, so when we convert it to JSON, it's a string. All right, so just keep that in mind. How about working with a JSON file? Yeah, let's go ahead and grab a JSON file real quick. I'm going to open up my text editor. And since I've been gone for a little bit, I started using Atom text editor from GitHub. So that's why mine's not going to look like yours. Alright, if you guys are using something different. Let's slide this over. I'm just going to go grab a JSON file from somewhere. So let's do JSON.org backslash example dot HTML, something like that. And we're just going to grab this one at the top here. I'm just going to throw this into a file on my desktop. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to get rid of this JSON crap and go over here into Untitled. I actually haven't used this text editor, but I am going to start using it because it looks pretty cool. So let me go ahead and save this file to something. Command S usually does it. We'll find out. Yes, it does. I need to put this on my desktop because that's where I'm at. Sorry, I am unprepared for this lesson. And we're just going to put it in here. We'll call it test.json. That works. Alright, so let's go ahead and just paste this thing in here. And there we go. We got some JSON data. And looking at it, we got, we got this right here, which is an object. And then here's the name in that object. And we got another object. And then we got a title. We got gloss div. I don't know what all this crap means, but it has to do with a glossary or something. Alright, so back to our Python interpreter. We're going to work with this data. Now, you got to make sure you're in. So let's go ahead and Control D out. I'm in my desktop and I saved the file to my desktop. Make sure you're in there because otherwise this won't work. You'd have to work with paths and whatnot. So Python 3, there we go. Command K. And what we're going to do is import JSON. And we're going to type with open. And then in a string, I'm going to say test.json. Close that out. And then as data. Alright, so I'm opening JSON. And I'm opening test.json file. And I'm saving it as data. Hit return. 2 spaces. And I'm going to say JSON underscore data equals JSON.load data. Just like that. Then I'm going to hit return. Alright, so now I got my JSON data, alright, is holding all this information in this file. Alright, it's holding all this information. So now I'm going to go back into my interpreter and I'm going to do print JSON data. I'm going to do square brackets and then double quote. I'm going to do glossary. I think that's what it was. Yeah, that's it. I tried to remember from last time we looked at it, but then I forgot. Alright, glossary and then, hold on. And then we want to get the title. So we go glossary and then title. So let's go another square bracket and do title. And then print it. There we go. Example glossary. I think that's what it was, right? Example glossary. There we go. We actually grabbed that data. That's pretty cool, right? Alrighty. So that's how we get information from our data. And you can go all the way down here and grab information and save it to variables and whatnot if you want to use it somewhere else. But we're not going to get into all that because we got a lot. We got some more to cover. So this video is already getting long. Alright, let's just do one more thing. Let's create a JSON file with Python. So we're going to create a file and we're going to save it with Python. So let's do import JSON. Alright, and let's do data is equal to, let's do our hockey teams again, Philadelphia. And then we'll do Flyers. And we'll do comma, and then we'll do Tampa Bay, and we'll do colon, then we'll do Lightning. You guys can do whatever the heck you want. Alright, there we go. There's our dictionary. It contains NHL hockey teams, so only 2 of them. And it's represented by data. And now we're going to do, we're going to write this to a JSON file. We're going to create a JSON file and write it to it. So we can do with open, what are you going to call this? We'll call it test1 because I don't want to overwrite that file just in case you guys need it. So test1.json is going to be our file name. And then we're going to tell Python to write, so we use a W, and then close out our parentheses as F for file, return 2 spaces, and then we're going to do JSON dot dump, which remember dump takes Python data and creates JSON data, and this is going to take 2 arguments, so we're going to have data and F, data being our Python data up here, and F being the file that we want to create. And we'll hit return, and then we can actually take a look at it. Well, we have 2 ways to look at it, but first way, let's do it in pure Python. So with open, we're going to open test1.json, close that string out, close out those parentheses as F, and then we'll have 2 spaces, JSON data equal to JSON dot load, and I'm just going to use F, right? Yeah. And then we're just going to do print JSON underscore data, and there we go. All right, so we took this information up here, wrote it to a file, and then we grabbed that information from the file all using Python. But if you go in your text editor and open up this file here, you can see we actually wrote to it test.1 JSON. We actually created a JSON object. So that's the basics of JSON. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I mean, we could continue to go into grabbing data, creating data, and doing all this other crazy stuff. And if you guys are big into doing data, you know, this might be one route to take. Let me know. We can try to do a more advanced JSON tutorial. Otherwise, check back for some more tutorials. If you like this one, make sure you click that like button. Don't forget to share it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.